Hey guys, Chris from Provo Beast Audio Installation, and today we're doing an unboxing of this Alpine double-din Apple CarPlay and Android Auto head unit. Let's go ahead and get this thing pulled apart and show you everything that it comes with. Now what's cool about this radio is it's full digital multimedia, so it doesn't have a CD or DVD slot, which makes it super small and compact. So in case you're installing this in a factory location that doesn't have a whole lot of space in the dash, this is a good radio to go with. Now again, like I mentioned before, this is both Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, has Bluetooth, plays FLAC files, is XM ready, and it has a ton of other features. So let's start getting this thing pulled apart. Okay, so the first thing it comes with, it actually comes with a manual. A lot of radios nowadays just come with a card indicating that you need to go to the website to get the manual. But this one has it. We have the main radio itself, which we'll open here in a second, and then we have our accessory package. Now, first harness here we see is our RCA cables. Now, you'll notice on the back of the radio we actually don't have RCAs mounted on the back. You actually have to use this harness. Now this harness has two sets of RCA video connections. You have your rear camera view input, so if you do a backup camera, that's where that would plug into, and also has a front view camera input, so if you do a front facing camera, same exact thing, it has an input directly dedicated for that. Now you have three sets of RCA outputs. You have front, rear, and sub. They're all different lengths here, so in case like I said, if you don't have a ton of space in the back of the radio here, because these are all various lengths, it doesn't get all bundled up together. You have your sub, which is our shortest one, you have our rear, which is our longest one, and then we have our fronts, all pairs. So that is your accessory harness. Put this off to the side, you don't want to lose that. Now next here we have our big main harness for the radio itself. They give you a ton of length on both the parking brake wire as well as the reverse camera wire. So this is your main plug that goes into the back of the radio here. This plug includes both your constant power and ground. Now this power has an external fuse. It's not fused on the back of the radio itself like a Pioneer would be. So power and ground is your yellow and black. Then here in the middle, you have your whites, grays, greens, and purples. White is left front, green is left rear, gray is right front, purple is right rear, and each one of those set of colors have a black stripe. That black stripe is the negative wire. Those are all located here kind of in that center of the harness here. Now these last bit of wires here, we have red. Red's your accessory, so that has to go to an ignition wire or your accessory wire. So when the key is on, it turns on the radio for you. Blue-white is your amplifier turn-on wire, or they call it the remote. Your solid blue is your antenna wire. Not a lot of radios now include that, but this has a power antenna wire, which is kind of nice. And then finally, you're left with these two guys. Now generally speaking, your yellow with a black stripe, that is going to be your parking brake wire. Being that it's a digital radio with a screen, you'll need to engage the parking brake with this being hooked up in order to enjoy video playback on your screen itself. Now finally here, this orange-white, on a Pioneer it's purple-white, but this one is orange-white. Don't get this confused with illumination. Actually what this is your reverse trigger wire, which you'll hook up in case you're doing a backup camera. Now finally here we have some miscellaneous harnesses. You have a USB wire, so basically you have an L-shaped USB male end that goes in the back of the radio and a female end. It's a nice extension. You have your mic here, external mic, as well as your mounting hardware. So let's grab our radio. Now with this radio, there's no hard buttons, they're all just soft touch buttons. You have your volume down and up, you have your mute, you have your home button, you have your mic, so you can trigger your Google voice automation or Siri if you have an iPhone, and then you have your Bluetooth call button as well. So those are your main buttons across the side. Again, very short chassis, so if you do not have a lot of space in the dash, this is a great solution just because it doesn't stick back as a traditional double-din would. Plenty of mounting places on the side depending on the dash kit. This input is for your antenna, so if you have the need for an antenna adapter, regardless, it plugs in here. It's just your standard Motorola plug. Now looking here on the back of the radio, we have a couple of other inputs. If you remember our RCA accessory harness, that does plug in there. Essentially here, this guy will plug into that slot. You have your USB input. Use the USB extension wire provided. We have our mic input. Our external mic, and we'll plug into this 3.5 millimeter input. Kind of looks like an aux, but it's your mic. You have your WR or wired remote input for steering wheel controls in case you have an applicable vehicle with steering wheel controls and a harness that supports that. You have your XM input, Sirius XM, that goes in there, and your main power harness input. So that's all your connections on the back of the radio. Okay, so let's go ahead and get this thing booted up for the first time. We got the power and ground and accessory hooked up to our test bench here. Let's turn on our key. Select English. All right, takes us right to our radio here. But we'll go to our home screen. Again, these are not physical hard buttons. They are soft buttons for sure, but this is your main home screen here. This is the first time we're seeing it. It's pretty cool. Obviously, it looks like you have your USB here. An iPod would illuminate if you had that connected. Same thing with the USB if you had a stick connected. We have radio, XM, Bluetooth audio. Now you have your reverse camera view. In the event you have your camera hooked up so it's on when the car is on, not just in reverse. You can actually jump to the camera right there, which is kind of cool, and your main setup button. Now if we do go into our radio, we do have our presets which we can set up. We can go forward and back here. Obviously we don't have any speakers set up, we can't hear it at the moment, but you can also do scan, FM 1, 2, and 3, as well as AM there, which is pretty cool. Just your standard basic radio. Again, if you have USB type music, anything connected to that USB input, including a phone, that would illuminate up here. That XM input that we showed you on the unboxing side here, that would illuminate if you had that module. That module is another 30 or 40 bucks that you can get added and pay for a subscription for XM radio. Once that's installed, this button actually would illuminate, allowing you to access that feature. Bluetooth audio, once you get your Bluetooth phone all set up, you can jump in and stream your music right from your phone. Pretty cool there. And then we'll go into our setup mode. Now, top left hand corner is your sound. You have your balance and your fade, so you can adjust exactly where you want that set up here. You can also do a fine tune with these little arrows, or return back to the center with that button there. Treble and bass for your basic tuner. So you got bass, mid, and treble. You actually have a full equalizer here with presets here. You can also go into a custom once you have an audio source playing, and then you have adjustments to the subwoofer output in case you have an external amplifier and sub installed. Now you'll notice that all our other features are actually grayed out. The reasoning behind it, and again this is super important for everybody to remember, you have to set up your parking brake wire. If you don't hook that up, it's not going to allow you into those advanced setup menu. Now we're going to imitate a parking brake here. And what you're going to see is those options re-illuminate. Now if you don't want to set up a parking brake or you don't have one available, you can pick up a bypass. And what we're going to do is have a separate video on Alpine bypass units. We'll throw a link down in the description as well as the card up above. But as you engage your parking brake, the rest of your features will now become available. So we can go into our volume setup. You can adjust the volume on your ringer, collar, mic, other key sound feedback. Then we can go to our main system settings. You can adjust your clock there, your dimmer where you can have it auto on or off, and the dimmer level, language, which you also set at the very beginning, and you can do a factory reset if needed. That's your main system. Connectivity, you can set CarPlay on or off. XM, again, that's not going to be illuminate just because we don't have the tuner installed, but you can go into your Bluetooth settings here. You can set multiple devices, see your Bluetooth information. You can search for different devices. You can go into your camera. Now, with your camera specifically, your primary is generally going to be set to rear, unless you want to have your front camera set up as default as your primary, but you can actually also set up a secondary camera through that other RCA input, whether it's the side left or side right or other input, which is kind of cool. Page 2 here is your picture quality adjustment. Since we don't have any input connected, but you can adjust the brightness, color, and contrast of that image. And then finally on page 3, your parking guides are there and you can set them on or off and manually adjust those as well. Then finally you got your main system information here. So that's the basic setup menu of this radio. Again, you can click your phone, it goes to your phone option, which is different from the Bluetooth audio. Obviously we don't have a Bluetooth device set up, but it would show there and you can control your phone. You can dial, you can set preset phone contacts. You can do a lot in that phone setting. Obviously that's your mic. You can have your mute button here as well. Those are your basic buttons. Just to remember that you can either hit this button or this button down below to always take you back to your main source or your home screen. Well, that's about it for this install. Thanks guys for watching. Be sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more great content we post all the time, and we will see you in the next video.